Rick Benton's entrepreneur journey started in high school when he and a friend started a DJ company. Dedicated to a vision of creating the most exciting and energetic experiences, the business quickly found successes that extended far beyond the local Detroit market. Fast forward a few decades, and this multi-state award-winning company provided event planning, entertainment, AV production services for national corporate, social, and educational clients. After successful sale and exit of the business in 2018, Rick has become a teacher, a coach, and a business consultant. His superpower is his energy and passion for learning and growth, always challenging the existing status quo to find better solutions. He personally understands and experienced the power of EOS and how it offers freedom for entrepreneurs to break through their ceiling, clarifying and achieving their vision while improving their lives of leadership teams, employees, and their families. Rick is excited to share the EOS power with you to achieve your vision, gain traction, and build healthy, cohesive, and fun-loving leadership team. Welcome, Rick, to the Business Superfan podcast. How are you this morning?
I'm doing fantastic. How are you?
I'm fired up, excited to have you on as a guest, and I think we've got some great things to chat about. Tell me, how did you get started, and what led you to where you are today?
Oh, wow. My entrepreneurial journey started when I was in high school, and a friend and I started a DJ company.
Really?
DJs. We were committed to this vision of creating concert-like experiences at tiny little house parties or homecomings or proms or birthday parties, whatever it might be. It's the late 80s. Amazing bands. I would see concerts and I'd just be like, wow, that was the best experience. I wanted to create those experiences for the small events that we went to. So we went out with Radio Shack strobes, and I had a fog machine and little police lights. And we eventually built it up. And next thing, a couple decades later, we're a multi-state audio-visual production company with in-house entertainment, working corporate event conferences and galas and fundraisers and expos, social events. We had weddings, bar mitzvahs, and sweet 16s, and all kind of, you name the parties, as well as a really nice high school division where we weren't just creating homecomings and proms. We were creating concerts and festivals for these schools. And I loved it. You can imagine, though, you build a business that size, the levers that I'm pulling. We had just people-wise, we had entertainers, and we had admin, and we had labor across the gambit, just on the entertainer side, where I actually flew to other cities just to get entertainers on the plane and bring them to where they needed to be. We had logistics, the trucks, the equipment, the quality control, the breaking of stuff, the investments, the depreciation, the marketing budgets, the salaries, the rent. It was driving me crazy, but I loved it. And in 2018, somebody decided that they loved it more. I took the exit. And this is how I got started and where I ended up now. Since then, I've had some mild successes. I've had some utter train wrecks. And you learn a lot more from the train wrecks than you do from the successes.
Oh, absolutely.
That much I'll tell you.
The police lights, I remember I still have police lights in my garage.
Yeah.
Because in the 80s, I had in my basement, I set up in a townhouse I had in Chicago, was an entertainment area. So I would throw parties and I would have the police lights and a DJ and all that stuff back then. We're both from Michigan, which is even more ironic. And here we are in Arizona. It's just interesting how life takes us through these directions.
From basement parties in Michigan, and God knows we did a ton of them. Now I'm thinking back, the basement parties in high school, college fraternity parties in the basement at U of M or MSU. And oh, geez. Then we got an opportunity to come out here. You look around in January and you realize you're never going to slip and fall in the heat.
Right.
You never have to you're never going to scrape the sunshine off of your windshield.
I don't miss that one bit.
Not at all.
You bring back memories because I used to throw what we dubbed Ever Ready Fast Freddy parties.
Oh, wow.
The record was, I think I had about 75 people in a townhouse, and it went from 3 o'clock in the afternoon till about 4 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was.
Those are fun times.
Those were fun times.
I'm going to put it out there to any audience members that can send us a picture of Fast Freddy party. Of course, that's going to open it up to that. They're going to send in some old Living Energy photos of me back in the day in my emceeing a bar mitzvah. Oh, God. Teaching kids how to do an electric slide, a jet slide. And oh, boy, that was fun.
So I'm sure you built some super fans from all those events.
We did. One of the things that we did for that to create fan, we actually realized that our business isn't something that you can advertise traditional and at the time print, or wasn't definitely not the size that we could advertise on TV. But what we did is we actually created events that people can come see us live, not just at a trade show. Oh, we're going to walk by a booth and meet you guys, but we were actually created events. So take an example, the bar mitzvah market. What we did is we created an event for 5th, 6th, and 7th graders. And just for background, for audience members who aren't that familiar with it, a bar mitzvah is a really nice party that's thrown for a 13-year-old in the Jewish community. It's the coming of age, no different than a quinceañera or a communion. It's the coming of age. Some of them are really nice, and they would have a DJ and lights and dancers, and they'd invite the entire family. People would come in from out of town. Could be 100, 200 people or more, themed, decor, all kinds of video screens, and the entertainment's off the chart. You have an entertainment that bridges the gap between grandparents and parents and kids. So parents are out there doing the latest dances, and kids are learning swing dances and stuff from the 70s, but at the time it was more swing and 50s and 60s. And sure. And these parties became a regular thing. And if you broke into that market, it was repetitive. So we would throw these events at various venues. We would get the venues donated because we were showcasing the venue. We'd invite every 5th, 6th, and 7th grader, targeted in the Jewish community, but open to all. And we would throw an hour and a half, 2-hour party. Then we evolved it and we had a parents lounge so the parents can buy in. Then everybody that contributed, the decor company and the catering company and every other vendor we'd set up a booth, talk to the parents, do a little catering for the parents, do whatever you can. We'd have photography and photo booths. It was quite a production. The kids would come in, now they're 5th grade. They're 6th grade. They're getting ready for this event that happens at 13 in 7th grade. And by the time it's actually, they're there to make a decision. Who do we want to have entertained? They've already known us. They knew us. They liked us. They felt confident with us. They trusted us that we could take care of the party. And that's the way we promoted it. We created Superfans. We later expanded that to the high school market, doing that just for student government kids. Just for the ones that made decisions for who they're going to hire for prom or homecoming. We later expanded that for corporate events. We actually produced trade shows and expos for various different markets we were in that would allow us to create real super fans that, hey, wait a minute, they're not a DJ company. They're full service planning. They're marketing. They are experiential. Next thing we had quite a machine on our hand. It was a lot of fun.
So now you've got the super fans actually promoting you. They're your brand advocates, but I call them business super fans. So now you've got an army of people that you've done events for that are telling all their friends, and those friends are telling their friends, and it starts to snowball, and the word gets around that you're the go-to organization for these type of events, whether it's a bar mitzvah, whether it's a corporate event, whether it's a trade show that a company's taking place in. You guys did it all. And your marketing was really, from what you were saying, is really just word of mouth marketing, which is all super fans.
So it was creating experiences. We created experiences. A lot of people in that industry, they look at it with the advent that our existing customers are going to be our super fans. So we looked at it from the standpoint that anybody that experiences us, whether they could afford us or not, whether they used us or not, we actually looked at it and said, some of the people that couldn't afford us, that couldn't use us, or they were committed to doing, or maybe they weren't even they didn't even have a party or they weren't having an event, but they wanted to. We were looking at it from the standpoint that we wanted even the people that weren't our client to be fans. God, I wish we could have an event.
Because then they're going to figure a way to make it happen. That's really what happens is you want something bad enough, you're going to find a way to pull it off.
If you want something bad enough in this world, you will find a way to create it.
Absolutely correct. So how did that segue into what you're doing nowadays?
Okay.
Tell us a little bit about that.
As I mentioned, I sold the business in 28, had some successes, some train wrecks, and I was working with a company that was implementing this system on how they operate their business. And it was called EOS, the Entrepreneurial Operating System. And it's designed for companies that are 10 to 250 people that are entrepreneurial in nature, where they need a better way to operate. Most of the time, most entrepreneurs are awesome at a skill, at a service, at a product. We aren't necessarily the best business people because we're so damn good at what we do. We love what we do. That doesn't mean we know how to run a business. I was given this book and it's sat on my shelf right here, Traction. Sat on my shelf from 14. Never read it. Because when you're running a business, you barely have time to read, let alone, but you get into entrepreneurship because you think you're going to have freedom of time. You're going to make a ton of money and you're going to have freedom to choose the people you want to work with. And you're going to have freedom to have a purpose. I'm going to create this value. And hopefully you're working 80 hours a week. And you're like, where's my time? Where's my money? And what's my purpose again?
You got a glorified job. If you're working in the business, it's a glorified job. You got to be working on the business to actually see those rewards.
Absolutely. So one of the things that I was working with this company that was implementing this system that's really described in that book. I looked at it and I said, oh my gosh, I got to learn more about it. I raced back. I opened the book. I read through it. I'm like, oh my gosh, where was this sitting on the shelf for years when I was running my business? This is exactly what I needed. I could have avoided so much stress, so much heartache, so much broken glass that I admittedly created. It's on me. I admittedly created from my inexperience, from the things that I didn't know. It was at that moment, I was like, I got to go all in. Burned all my boats, went all in, and now I help businesses avoid that same stress, avoid that broken glass, avoid that heartache, and I help them build a system where they're not working 80 hours a week, where they are not, unless they want to. That's up to them, but I strongly don't encourage it. I help them organize the way they structure and run their business so that they get strong in 6 key components of their business.
What are those 6 keys?
At the top is vision. You got to have a great vision and you have to know how you're going to get there. If you don't have a good vision, you're going to end up somewhere else. If you don't know where, you're going to end up somewhere else. Second key component is people. The mistake I made is that you have to have the right people for your business. It can't just be the right person for the job. It has to be for your business, because many times we see this in sports. How many times does our favorite team, we're going to go out there, we're going to poach the free agent superstar. They come over to our team and they're okay. And we paid hundreds of millions of dollars from, or we recruit a rookie who's not doing that well. And then he goes to a different system and suddenly he's an MVP.
It's all culture. That goes back to culture. Culture.
You have to be, absolutely. That's exactly. What are your core values? Right. Define those core values. And I'll tell you a story about core values in a minute. So third thing is your data. You have to be really strong with your data. And that means getting your emotions out of your data. We all look at things subjectively. We want to get that emotion. We want to get that out. Don't just run your business by the numbers. The fourth key component is your issues. When your vision is clear, you know where you're going, you have the right people for your company, and you know your numbers without the clouds of ego and emotions, your business is going to be transparent and your issues are going to rise to the surface. Every business has issues.
Yep.
Unavoidable. So being strong with your issues means knowing how you're going to solve them at the root cause, not solve the symptoms, but solve them at the root cause and make those issues go away forever. Fifth key component is your process. Every business has a right way of doing things for them, right? You got to make sure that everybody on your team is doing things the way you need to. How many times I've worked on sales teams where it's like, hey, Joe's doing it this way, selling customers this way, and Jason's selling it this way, and I got my own style for selling. And you know what? Here's the system that we're going to use for selling. We're all telling the same story.
No, it's important. It's important. A good example that I'm going to put in there is, think of a rowing team where you got 4 people in the boat and they're all got oars and it's all manual. If you're not in sync, you ain't going no place too fast.
You're going nowhere. You got to all be rowing in the same direction.
Got to be rowing in the same direction at the same time, same tempo. everything else. And that's when you've got a team that's rowing. And I'm using it as a solid example because that takes a lot of work to be in sync and to win a rowing championship in one of those rowboats.
That leads us to our last key component, beautifully segued into traction, which means that every day, every quarter, you are making progress towards your vision. You're all rowing in the same direction at the same cadence to that same point, which is that vision. It's crystal clear. So the entire team is strong in these 6 key components. And what was discovered is that entrepreneurs have so many things just swirling around in their head at the same time. When you get strong in these 6 components, everything just falls into place. If you think about it, our time during owning a business, all the things that were swirling around, they will fit into one of those 6 key components.
Oh, always. Absolutely correct.
So I mentioned the core values in your culture, and I want to share a story that just happened just last week. Okay. And I was working with a team, and they had their core values, and they list them off. So many other companies, they listed off the typical things that we put up. You could probably guess them: honesty, integrity, customer service.
The usual points. Yep.
Paint them on a wall. You can't really hire to them. They're too vague. They're too general. And let's face it, Enron, remember Enron?
Yep.
WorldCom, remember WorldCom? Integrity was one of their core values.
Fail.
We went through an exercise, and I am so proud of this team because we spent a little extra time on it, but wow, the results were absolutely amazing. And I'm just going to pull these over here. They came from generic, one-word, typical core values. And they literally came, I took a picture of it, and it is beautiful. I can't wait to hear their core values speech. But they came up with 4 core values. We are, number 1, passionate, goal-driven problem solvers.
I like that.
Number 2, we are trusting and accountable to all.
I like that as well.
Number 3, we are professional team players.
Excellent.
And number 4, we are committed to growth.
Yeah, it has impact. When you say it, you can feel it. And the last part is the important part is, they're committed to growth. But you got to do you got to have 1, 2, and 3 for 4 to happen. That's really cool.
There's 2 things that came out of that. 1, you read through that and you just get chill. It's, wait a minute, I see it. We can hire to those core values. We can fire to those core values. We can reward and we can praise and we can choose our vendors and our partners to those core values. It's an identity of who we are, as opposed to just the single word.
Because what you're doing there is you're creating superfans from the team. Now that team has a synergy internally. The employees, I call them teamers. So now that team, they're on the same page. They love where they're working because the culture is excellent. So when they're talking to prospective customers and existing customer, that tonality, that energy comes across. And that attracts, if you've got the right energy, you've got the right tonality, everything else, you're going to attract. So a prospective customer is going to go, wow, these guys are energized versus the regular, I'm just, can I help you?
Yeah.
And then that trends into complementary businesses that work together with that particular organization. So that compounds what you just laid out there from a foundation is it transcends across all of the whole business.
Think about it. If I were to say, Freddie, I want you to come join us. We have a spot on the team, but I want you to just know I want you to just understand our core values. And we have integrity, we have honesty, we treat the customers right, blah, 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 versus what I just read there. Hey, Freddie, I want you to join our team, but I want you to know that when we hire you, this is who we are. And we are passionate, goal-driven problem solvers. That means we care deeply about our goals and reaching them and solving the challenges that are in front of us. We're not just there to admire them or to come. We want you to know that we are going to get to the root cause of every challenge and every problem in front of us. We are trustworthy and accountable to all. That means you can rely on us. We're going to do what we say we're going to do. It's to everybody. It doesn't matter if it's a customer, if it's an employee, if it's a teammate, if it's a vendor that we work with, or just somebody in the community. We are trustworthy and accountable to all. We are professional team players. We're going to dress appropriately. We're going to treat people with respect. We're going to work together We don't want you siloed. We're never going to leave you off the island by yourself. And we're committed to growth. It means we know we're not perfect yet. We know we can get better. And we're committed to always improving. I'm just making that up, reading these.
Yeah, Rick, you're right on the money there, because someone that is a prospective customer feels the energy that transcends from the way the team members are communicating. That's going to help collapse the sales cycle. People like to do business with people that they like and trust.
Absolutely.
With that mission, that's attractive. And attraction attracts more.
It's uplifting.
Correct.
We want to associate with that. And it's not just sales. It's, if you think about it, in the HR department, when they're looking for hiring, every new hire, that's a sale for the HR team. If you want to look at that.
Yeah, no, it is.
There's a sales product. We're going to attract the right people to our team, and we're going to repel the wrong people from our team based on those core values. I am so proud of that team. Obviously, I'm sharing that. I'm beaming because that's the stuff I get to do now. That's the stuff I get to help companies figure out.
And that's really cool because companies need that. Over the years, I've seen a lot of different things, a lot of good managers, a lot of bad managers, a lot of good teams, a lot of bad teams. The teams that I remember that I was part of, and I'm talking about my experience, I remember back in the 80s when I was in the computer industry, we were prepping for a demo, and the demo was the next day. We were working late at night and getting ready because the demo was in the morning. And we were about midnight, our manager walks in and we're going, what? He comes in, he's got 2 boxes of pizza, he's got a 12-pack of beer, and he sits down with us and we have some beers and some pizza. He hangs out for an hour. Then as he leaves goes, all right, guys, don't stay up too late, but appreciate it. We had such a great culture because we wanted to work, and we worked till 5 o'clock in the morning getting ready. Some of us slept at the office and just did a bathroom fresh up because game time was 9 a.m. When we got done with the demo, we killed it. And he came back and said, all right, guys, it's Thursday afternoon to get the heck out of here. I'll see you guys on Monday. I'm still friends with a couple of guys from that crew that we had. And I call them a crew because we were a crew.
One of the best lines that I've ever read, what you described there, is a manager who understands your humanity, who understands your people, who understands that you need to be treated with respect. You are not just a cog in a wheel. Hey, food, beer, and pizza, they go a long way when people are working really hard. The guy's name was Keith Cunningham. The book is The Road Less Stupid. And he said that culture is nothing more than the way we treat each other.
Oh, absolutely correct. In my book, one of my quotes is, people will crawl through broken glass for appreciation and recognition. What that manager did, his first name was Tom, he appreciated us, recognized us for putting all the extra effort. Anytime Tom ever asked us to do something,
You were there.
We were no problem.
Your quote reminds me of a Napoleon one, and he would just marvel at the amazing things that soldiers would do for a tiny piece of ribbon.
Yep.
Just to get the badge, to get the piece of ribbon, the unbelievable things people would do, more so than money, recognition, respect, appreciation.
A goal. That's how you create superfans. Right there.
Absolutely.
Those 3 things. That's how you create superfans that will go out of their way and become champions of your business, your organization. Look at fandom, where people create groups. They're a super fan on steroids, and they create these fan groups. They've got meetups and all these things. You look back at Star Trek, for example. You got all the Trekkies. That's an example of superfans.
Yeah,
those guys are diehard superfans that have created groups and meetups and everything else to promote Star Trek, as an example. It's super fandom if you know how to harness it, and more importantly, how to grow it to become that monster.
Absolutely. I've been an Apple geek since long before Steve Jobs came back to the company. Didn't hold on to enough shares that I purchased back in those days.
Yeah, I wish I would have kept my 1985
exactly.
Mac.
There's some great documentation on the evangelical side of what Apple was creating that got them through the 90s for sure, because they just had raving fans who loved the counterculture. Apple's always had a super worthy rival. Initially, it was IBM. Then it became Microsoft. Then it became Samsung. And now they're such a behemoth that they're just trying to outdo themselves. But it's always recognizable that they always had that worthy rival. They always had that person, that company that pushed them to be better, that they built on each other. Microsoft did this, so Apple had to come up here. And that counterculture of people that would be like, okay, we pick sides. Remember that Mac versus PC commercial with Justin Long and I forgot the other guys.
It was funny. It was hilarious.
They were funny, but they were pitting each other against each other, but also both making each other better. We all picked sides. Everybody had a side. I remember just, hey, I'm a Mac guy. I had when I taught for a year, I had Think Different posters in my classroom that I had bought from Apple. I love that campaign. I had Einstein. I had Jim Henson and Kermit the Frog. I had the Jackie Robinson. I had the Bob Dylan poster, and the Miles Davis were over on the other side. Sad commentary. My athletic director did not recognize Jackie Robinson. Who is that? Really? But that's another story. Apple was always one of my corporate heroes because of their ability to do that, to create those fans, myself included.
Yeah, myself as well. I'm an Apple geek as well. Like I said, 86 was my first year in sales, and I had a Mac. I had a portable Mac, and I created in Excel a return on investment spreadsheet. I would come in and selling manufacturing software, and I would sit down and I'd say, okay, Rick, let's look at what's your hourly burden rate. How long does it take you to design a job manually or do this kind of stuff? And so emotionally, I involved you into creating the ROI for the software I was trying to sell you. But I wasn't trying to sell you. You were buying it because you created the ROI yourself, and you turned around, went up to upper management and says, look, it's going to cost us 150 grand, but on 24 months, we're going to be a positive 150 grand. What was cool was because they were amazed. I plopped this Mac, and I would actually, sometimes I had a modem that you carried around, put it in the phone line, and I would dial up their fax machine and fax out the quote that you and I sat together and put together.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was cool. It was a slam dunk. The sale was done because you and I put it together. I printed it out on your fax machine, used your phone line, and it was a point.
If you remember Simon Sinek's Start With Why, and he used Apple as an example, that they go with why they do what they do. We help you solve issues. We happen to make great computers. Want to buy one? Opposed to, we make great computers. They can help you solve your problem. It's just that people will buy why you do something.
Yep.
Not what you do. And in this sense, I shared with you that core value. I help people avoid that entrepreneurial stress. We get them to a point where we say, you are living the EOS life. And the EOS life for any entrepreneur, I think, is just, it's so attractive. The way that it's marketed, it's sold, and it's simply this. 5 things. We get entrepreneurs and anybody on that team to, first, we're doing what we love.
Yep.
We're doing it with people that we love.
Yep.
We're making a difference in the world.
Yep.
Everybody's getting compensated appropriately.
Yep.
We have time for other passions. When I saw that, I said, that right there, I am a raving fan of EOS, because that's the goal. That's the outcome. That's the vision of the life we want to live, that I want to live.
Yep.
I want to do what I love, working with people that I love, making a big difference in the world, getting compensated appropriately with time for other passion. Yep. How many people, whether entrepreneurs or they're just at a job, they don't have that time for other passions?
Yeah.
That's how you create raving fans.
Yep.
Get something that resonates with somebody and hits them at their core.
Sure. So, Rick, how can people get a hold of you?
Pretty simply, rick.benton@eosworldwide.com. It's easy email, but phone number works as well, 867-9550. Best bet, just reach out, LinkedIn, Facebook, any of them. I still have that 248 number. You can take the boy out of Detroit, but can't take the Detroit out of the boy.
Hey, my woman still got a 248 number as well. I took her out of Detroit as well, but still a Detroiter, and so am I.
Yeah, not as often. Still go for a Coney dog every so often. Can't turn those down. I could turn them down more often than not. Now, if getting strong in those 6 key components is something that you're interested in, or just learning more about how this model works, by all means, give me a call, reach out.
Do you offer a free consultation?
Yeah, we'll give actually a full free session, a 90-minute session about how this can work in your business, what your business would look like running on EOS, and how I work with companies. I don't want a company that's out there for a seminar. I want a company that is looking to really transform the way that they do business, the way they work with their employees, and they're in it for the journey.
It is a journey.
You know, we are changing habits of how you run businesses. We are allowing CEOs and visionaries and founders, we call it letting go of the vine, where you're hanging on for dear life, but you look around, you have a team that you've hired. They're the right people. They're sitting in the right seats, and you can let go of those things without fear that they're not going to get done, that they're going to get done correctly, and that your team is going to support you so you can actually start to dial down on the number of hours that you're working, and you can have time for other passions too. And you're going to find that your business is going to soar when you let the right people do their job.
Yep. Sir Richard Branson says it the best. If you take care of your team, they'll take care of everything else.
Yeah.
That's the bottom line. So, Rick, it's been a pleasure having you on the Business Superfan podcast.
I thank you. Enjoyed being here.
And we will definitely have you on another one to continue the conversation, buddy.
I look forward to it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Take care.